when you're doing something, it's important to do it for you, and it's important to, get everybody else's voice out of your head, because if it doesn't work out, it's not a failure. That's an experience that you can talk about.
Absolutely. Because boy, people be talking and they definitely be wrong.
They be loud and wrong. That's the thing. Like, how you
Loud and
loud
wrong.
and wrong?
Choose a
Real,
struggle. You
yeah,
can't
you
have to.
struggle. You gotta pick one.
Oh no. They don't get it. It's okay. We get it.
I was like, yes, Lord, come on with the cancellations.
Ooh, we going in it. Now just kidding.
I don't know if you know this, but I'm black. Am I good?
He's with the best of them. And he's one of my favorite men to emphasize.
that entrance sounds like much more than who I actually am.
So my guest of honor uses her voice to unify, educate, and motivate. Not only is she on a mission to promote disability awareness and body positivity, but she's also out here spreading love and light everywhere she goes through her organization, Chasing Chassidy. Some of her accomplishments include being seen on Born Different, which grossed over 50 million views, speaking in front of Congress in DC regarding disabilities in the workplace, and being awarded Emerging Disability Advocate in 2020. She's a lady at all times, and she keeps her beautiful locks fried, dyed, and laid to the side. Today, my guest of honor is the beautiful Chassidy Young. How you doing?
Come on, fried, dyed, and laid to the side.
Look at him. I mean, I'm like, I got a ponytail, and she got the locks flowing, like always.
That 2 hours ago it would have been completely different. You would have kicked me out the room, but I'm prepared. But I'm doing good. I'm excited to be here talking to you today.
Thank you. Me too. I'm glad to talk to you too. Tell me a little bit how the pandemic has been going for you.
Child, you know what? It's getting better. So for me, like I was working from home prior to the pandemic, so I had a remote job. So it just kind of as far as work goes, everything was the same, but it was so different trying to find avenues to get yourself out of the room, out of your workspace, because now you're at home and you have to be at home for entertainment and social, and then those type of things were taken away. So at first it was a big adjustment, just trying to find different things to do. And I just feel like at one point I was like, I can't be creative. I'm just not. But I think we all just went through that little phase in the beginning where you were just you just kind of lost something and something just switched off. But now with social media and with finding my new passion at TikTok, it's creating different avenues for me to, I think I've, sparked a little fire in me again with the creativity. So it's getting better, but it was rough in the beginning because just kind of being at home and working at home and still working, which I was thankful that I, wasn't impacted financially or, by that with not having a job, but you were still like in the thick of it. But it's getting better. It is.
Well, that's what it's all about. That's what it's all about, progress. And I think it's crazy how the pandemic, it was uncomfortable, but it did help us understand gratitude and how we need to be grateful for the small things. Like going to the movies it's more enjoyable now because it was taken away.
Enjoyable. The smallest things, I'm telling you, I was excited about getting up, getting out the house, coming to the salon, being able to, like you said, go to the store. Like those small things are such a big deal. Like me and my sister, we make a big deal. We have our little movie nights now because, like you said, it's such a, it was for it to be taken away like that, and you just realize how much you miss having those access to those things. You appreciate all that. I love when I can get out the house and come sit somewhere, even if I'm just sitting. I don't care what I'm doing. I'm out of the house.
I understand that. Well, tell people a little bit about your background and where you come from. Tell them a little bit about you.
Yeah, so I am from Fort Worth, Texas, by way of Everman. Yes. So I went to graduate from Everman High School, and I got my bachelor's in psychology from the University of Texas at Arlington, where I met you.
Yeah.
For the most part, I've always been, whether vocally or just living my life, just a disability advocate. That has been something I recently put a name to. I more so was living it, and I didn't realize that's what I was doing, just by, living my life. It's always been so important for me, for people to, for one, be comfortable with me, for me to educate people on, just dealing with people who are differently able, people who are limb different, or people who have just a physical difference. Um, and I enjoy just kind of opening up those avenues, for others, and for people to not be afraid to, address stigmas or to erase stigmas that they may have. So that's always been a passion of mine, whether it's living it or speaking about it. Disability advocacy has been a lifelong thing, for me, just growing up.
Yeah, it's a lifestyle period
It's
though.
a lifestyle. Yeah.
Yeah, you definitely exude that because I mean, just thinking back from when I met you, it's always been that way. Like you make people feel extremely comfortable in your presence, and it's just some people just have it. You know what I'm saying? It's not something
Hmm.
that you can learn. I think it's something that's God given. That
I
light
agree.
where people feel like super comfortable and willing to listen to you and just be like absorb it all. You know.
I
Um.
totally agree. It definitely has been like that lifestyle, and I think it has a lot to do with my upbringing. My parents were very hands on with me, and my parents really did not, shelter me, or they allowed me to live. Whether it was, if it was something they probably didn't even think I could do, I never knew it, and I
Yeah.
tried to do a lot of stuff, and a lot of stuff I couldn't do, but I learned it because I learned it. It was my experience. And so that's what I wanted, for other people like myself to know, like, there are things you won't be able to do, but have that experience for
Mhm.
yourself. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like, for example, I went to, it was like in the 6th grade. I was a part of this dance team at our junior high school, and we had this dance competition at Six Flags. So of course we're 6th graders, so we had the competition, we did well, but we also went there for recreation to have fun.
Mhm.
So I wanted to get on the rides like everyone else. All of my friends were getting on rides. They were doing that. And, you know, I couldn't do it, but I'm, physically probably, I wasn't tall enough, child, to
Mhm.
be on the ride. But, everyone was around me. They was like, we just gonna let her find out her on her own that,
Yeah.
maybe she, and I didn't like roller coasters. I found out I don't even like it. If I was tall enough to do it, if I was, physically able to do it, I wouldn't do it. It was scary for me. But I just like how people were like, you know what, Chastity, if this is what you want to do, we're gonna support it. You're gonna find out whether you like it or not. So I just
Yeah.
love that the people around me gave me that freedom to bump my head, to find what I like, to find what I couldn't do on my own with my own experiences.
Well, that's
So
important. That's so
mhm,
important. Your tribe and your circle is extremely vital, like,
yes,
especially to your development, because a lot of people get told something they can't do when they're very capable of doing that and beyond that.
hmm,
And, people project their fears on you.
hmm.
So I'm glad that you didn't have to, like, deal with that as much, like, because that's just unnecessary for anybody to go through.
It is, and it happens. And I talk to different people within the community, and so many are just scared to do just for me, just the smallest things. They have this fear of doing, and I don't understand it because I'm like you said, your tribe is important. The people around you are important. And the people around me were like, "Do it. We want you to
Yeah.
do it." They were rooting for me, like, "Go do it." And they probably were like, "Lord, this girl this girl is she gonna probably hurt herself," but they built that courage in me to go out and do it. And so when I hear stories about people who are scared to go to college, people who are scared to just be outside of the home, or scared to be around other people, and like you said, because of all those projected fears from others, and also just the lack of knowledge to others, and it's like, no, it doesn't sit well with me. So that's why I do what I do, and that's why I don't mind going out in the public. I don't mind the eyes on me, because it's like, okay, it's setting that example, and hopefully getting one other person out to be like, don't be scared of this world. 'Cause it's so much to experience, and I want everybody should have that opportunity.
Absolutely. So tell me what your thoughts are on failure. Like, Do you feel like you can fail forward, or like what's your thoughts on failure?
I definitely think that you can fail forward when it's your experience.
Yeah.
Is what you know what I mean? If it's something that you want to do and it's something that you if you failed at it because you just couldn't do it, you couldn't make it happen, I feel like it's not a failure, it's an experience for me.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
had that experience. I had that experience on, on that roller coaster. I didn't like it. That was my experience. It wasn't I didn't take that away as, oh, I'm a disabled person, I can do it. It was, Chassie, you scared of roller coasters. You
Yeah.
don't like that. You know what I mean? So I think that when you're doing something, it's important to do it for you, and it's important to, to get everybody else's voice out of your head, because if it doesn't work out, it's not a failure. That's an experience that you can talk about.
Absolutely. Because boy, people be talking and they definitely be wrong.
They be loud and wrong. That's the thing. Like, how you
Loud and
loud
wrong.
and wrong?
Choose a struggle. You
Yeah,
can't
you
have
struggle. You gotta pick one. You have to pick one. So that's very much what it is. People are very loud and wrong lots of times. So you have to get those thoughts out of your head, and do what you feel that you need to do and have that experience. I don't really think that there is failure when you're doing something that you wanted to do. It may not, everything's not going to always work out for you, but you can always look back and say, I'm glad I did that. I'm glad they
Yeah.
didn't talk me out of doing that. I'm glad I wasn't scared to do that. You know what I mean? So it's all about just creating experiences, throughout this life.
Yeah, being an active participant in your own life is valuable.
Hmm.
Because if you don't do it, life will just happen to you, and you'll just be there taking all the punches. Like, am I gonna get up? Like, it's like you gotta
And
figure out if
then,
you're gonna get up.
yes, that's important.
Yeah, and I try to tell students that all the time. Like, taking ownership of your experience is vital. But tell me what you would tell a young person that's preparing to either enter the workforce or go to college. Like, what advice would you give them?
Advice that I would give a young person who is entering into the workforce or going into college or into the real world,
Hmm.
is what those two things are. Um, is most importantly to, again, get others people's expectations out of your head. Get other people's voices out of your head, because I think at that point you are starting to build your own life. You're starting to create your legacy and the
Hmm.
person that you are and the person that you want people to remember you as. So when you're becoming an adult, you have all these different, your different voices and different, expectations from the people that maybe raised you or your household. But it's important to, remove those voices and just go in clear so that you can learn to find yourself and to find your niche and to find your own voice.
Yeah, yeah. You definitely have to be free to express yourself, however
Mhm.
that is, however you see fit when it comes to that.
Mhm.
Because, I mean, at the end of the day, it's a million other people, and it's only one you. So you
Yes.
you definitely have to be okay with that. So tell me how you found the freedom to express yourself like this, because you touched on your family and like your tribe and everything, but like, do you feel like it was a part of God's calling on your life, or you just feel like it's something that happened to you?
I really do and truly believe that it was a part of God's calling on my life. Because a lot of things have not happened to me. A lot of things have happened for me. And I'm
Hmm.
like, how did that happen? I there were certain things that I learned that were very natural that I didn't have training for. Like, when I started school, I didn't have a special doctor that taught me, okay, this is how you're going to write. This is how you're going to pick up a pencil. This is how
Hmm.
you're going to pick up a pen. This is how you're going to color. My mom, she was like, I bought coloring books. I bought crayons like I did. And my parents really gave me freedom. They put
Hmm.
something in front of me and she would always say, I would watch you and you would just kind of figure out how to do things on your own. So when I started school, it's a story my mom always tells me. She was like, first day we were all coloring, I guess, apples in class.
Hmm.
So she came to pick me up, and my teacher, Miss Arnold, she's probably like the best teacher I've ever had. Miss Arnold came out and she was so excited. She was like, I need to show you something. I need to show you something. And my mom was like, what? So she showed her all these pictures of these apples that I guess me and my classmates had did. And she was like, look at these pictures. And my mom was like, okay. It was all, pictures of looked like kindergarten scribble scrabble. And she said, look at this now, look at this picture. And she was like, she showed me a picture. It was colored and the lines and it was really good. And she said, this is Chassidy's. And she was like, how did she? And my mom was like, I don't know. She really just figures things out and things happen for her. So that's why I really believe that, for what for this reason, I really believe that my life is, like I said, I think that God created me, chose me to be this person in this body for a reason. I do think that he gave me the tools to handle, sometimes the pressures of it and, to walk it confidently. So there are certain things that I definitely believe happened for me, and I'm like, whoa, that was too divine. You know what I mean? So that's how it's felt, for most of my life.
And see, that's a blessing because when you're moving in purpose,
Mm-hmm.
things will open up. He will make room for you. And
Mm-hmm.
I think a lot of people think we lie when we say that. I'm like, nah, it's some stuff that's just like you cannot explain. It's just like the floodgates doing this, like
You can't.
you
And
can't
that's
explain it.
what I truly believe, that there are certain situations where I'm like, how did that happen? Or how am I here? Or just, the feelings that I've had, it just felt like, this is once I accepted who I was, you know what I mean? And I got to the point, and it was really early, being 12, 13, when you really starting to notice that your friends are changing, you're not, everybody's growing, you're not, and you really start to become more self-aware with your body and self-conscious about things. So, early it wasn't always like there was a time where I was like, oh, so this wasn't a trial. You know what I mean? It wasn't. This is a subscription.
Right.
I have to. You know what I mean? I'm subscribed to this. And being 12, having to 12, 13, having to accept something like that, would probably for a lot of people, set you back or put you into, a dark hole. And I had my moment where I cried about it and I talked to my parents about it. And, we had a conversation. It was like, okay, well, what do you want to do? You know what I mean? You've got this far, and just think about all that you've done, and I decided, like, okay, this is my life and I'm gonna make the best of it, and I'm gonna respect it, and people are gonna respect it. And like you say, you start to start to walk in that purpose, and everything just starts to work for you.
Yeah, I definitely agree with that. Definitely. Tell me what role spirituality plays in your life.
Spirituality plays a big role in my life, a major role in my life. One of the staples that I stand on, when it comes to, what I believe, one of my favorite scriptures or stories that Jesus tells, where he's talking to his disciples about a man that's born blind, or a man that was blind. And they asked him, they said, well, Jesus, what did his parents do? Did they sin? Did God curse the parents? And Jesus responded to him. He said, it was like, forbid. It's to show what God can, the miracles that God can work. So I stand on that, because sometimes to tell people, don't feel sorry for me, don't have pity on me, or don't feel I feel sorry for myself. I really feel like God said, I'm gonna use this vessel, and I'm gonna show you what I can do with this vessel. You think she can't do this, or you think she won't be able to do that, and I'm gonna show you what I can do through you. So that's something that I always think about, and I take myself to it at points where I may, start to feel discouraged or feel down. Remind myself, like, God knew what He was doing.
Yeah.
He knew exactly. I feel like a creator that knows to put stars in the sky to make the nighttime shine.
Yeah.
Know what He's doing, creating a body. So I trust Him.
Yes. Look, you got to. It ain't get no better than God. So we gotta trust the path and trust
I
Him.
trust He know what He's doing. I trust somebody that can create the universe and
Mm-hmm.
and oceans and animals and the system and all of this. I trust that he knew what he was doing when he was creating me.
Mm-hmm.
So and that's just that plays a big part, in my life. Like you said, it takes back to purpose. Like, okay, this for a reason, and it makes it all worth it.
Yeah. And to make it short, I'ma stick beside him. That's it.
I'm a stick beside him. You right. That's short and sweet. I'm gonna stick beside him.
Well, let's dive into this purpose work and everything you got going on. Like, tell me about "Don't Diss My Ability." Like, did you come up with that, or did someone else come up with that?
So I had a movie, a film festival for Chasing Chassidy, the first documentary that we did. And so someone, the person that was hosting came around, and people were, just giving questions, and it was a part of an answer, and it just came out. It was like, don't diss my ability. And so everybody was like, okay. And I was like, oh,
I love it. Yes.
So it really just came, was a part of it just came out. It was, don't diss my ability. And it was, don't diss what I can do. And it's just basically about focusing on what you can do. You take the light off of the things you can't do, and you focus on what you can do. And that's what don't diss my ability is about.
Yeah. So I love that, because you only can control what you can control. And when you put your focus on things that you can't control, you're literally just like holding yourself back and just making yourself feel like you can't do anything. It cripples you, like to the point where you won't do anything. You know what I'm saying? So I love that. I was like, I gotta ask her about that, because I love
it. Literally was one day. I wish I had a video with someone, asked me a question, and I answered the question, and it was like, don't diss my ability. And I was like, now wait a minute, where'd that come from? So it was just what I wanted when I said one of those things that happened for you, not to you.
Yeah.
That happened for me, and it just kind of created a whole nother thing, and a whole nother purpose, and a whole nother platform for me.
That's what's up. That's what's up. Tell me a little bit about how you are spreading the word and bringing awareness to like disability awareness.
So social media is such an awesome space for spreading awareness. So I use my social media platforms very often to spread awareness, just posting and being active, because I want people to see, to see me and not being scared of that. I also do speaking. As I mentioned, or we talked about earlier, prior to COVID, was more active with it. I'm right now working on a conference, kind of like a combat conference for me to get back out in front of people. But went to Washington, and I was invited to speak in front of different congressmen for the National Association it was like the part of the weather ecosystem side of it. But we were at in an area where they invited different congressmen and people who literally create laws and fight for different laws for us. So that was really exciting to stand before people to advocate. Documentaries are ways that I definitely try to spread awareness, and doing things such as this, just networking, communicating with people. I like to use any source that I can where you can reach the masses and just spreading awareness. And I think the most important part of my spreading awareness is just living and being. Is it being me? It's not always me talking about. It's just me being active, being out and about. You know what I mean? Being out in the social world, having a social life, and people seeing me in areas where you probably wouldn't see a person like myself, because they're scared, or they don't feel like that's a space that they should be in. So I like to push those type of limits. So I know you probably see me go all my little parties in college.
Yep. Having a good time too.
Having a good time. So and that was important to me to show that I'm just normal like everyone else, and that's the basic of my message, is I'm no different than anyone else.
Yeah. go ahead and plug where they can find your documentaries and everything. You know, shameless plug. Don't let them know.
So, no, you can find my documentaries on YouTube. My YouTube Chasing Chassidy has all of my documentaries, Chasing Chassidy and the Born Different documentary. 2022, I'm working on launching my YouTube page. And as I mentioned, I'm working on a body positivity conference also as well. But you can definitely reach me or watch the videos on YouTube. And it's also on my Instagram page at Chasing Chassidy.
Y'all go find all of that.
All of that is available as public.
Yes, ma'am. Tell me a little bit about what people should know and how you would want someone to like do away with stereotypes and things like that. Like, how can other people be more aware of how to work with other people that still happen to have a disability? What do they need to know?
I definitely think that the one thing that the barrier between the conversation is the stigma behind having the conversation.
Yeah.
So many people are so scared to just come and talk, or they think they're probably going to offend me. I'm such an open book. And that's why I like to address things that are when it comes to the community, you know, certain things and within the community of people who are disabled. When it comes to relationships, when it comes to lifestyle, when it comes to work, when it comes to love, like those type of things within those categories, there are so many stigmas, and I love to address those and talk about them. So I think the best thing is when you are wanting to when you are dealing with someone with a disability, or you're building a relationship with someone with disability, whether it's a friend, a coworker, or you know, a companion, just having those conversations, like talking about it. I'm not scared to answer questions. I'm not scared to answer your curiosities. Like, okay, so what? You know what I mean? It's just about having the conversation. Because so many people, most times, people just don't want to offend you, or they don't want you to feel like they're being funny. Like that's with my experience. You know what I mean? When people are like, I don't want to like offend you. Like, I don't know what's the right thing to say. There's not really a right thing to say, but I think it's important that for me, it's my responsibility to give you the right answer and to give you the right knowledge. How you say it or how it comes out, you know what I mean? That's not really important to me, because it's getting to the gist of what you really want to know. And I think most people know, like, okay, most people want you to be comfortable. Most people want to be your friend, but they don't know how. So instead of just dealing with it, they just like, okay, I'm just going to shun away from it. And so I think it's just important to have the conversation, invite people with disabilities into this conversation. You know what I mean? When it comes to that, when we're talking about, you know, different marginalized groups, include people who are disabled to have that conversation.
Yeah.
And I think that's just the important thing for me, is just talking about it and being open about it.
And that's exactly why I wanted you to come on here. You really just put it in a nutshell, for real. Because I mean, to me, it's no different. You know, I would approach you just the same way I would approach anybody. Like, and it all comes down to if you have commonalities, like if you are connecting in different ways, like that's what it's about for me. Like, do we connect? Do we have things in common? All right, we cool. You love God, cool. You know what I'm saying? So that's another reason why I wanted you to come on.
And that's been mostly my experiences with most people, is that once they start talking to me and once we, you know, start having a conversation, it's like, you are so much like me, or we have so much in common. Like, and you just forget, like, okay, this is a person, and this is somebody's daughter, somebody's, you find, like you said, those commonalities, and you really start to forget about all this physical stuff, because that really isn't unimportant when you're dealing with a person. What a person looks like has nothing to do with that person.
Yeah.
And so that's what's always important for me, for people to know me. And once they do, it's like, okay, you just like me. That's cool. Let's roll. So, and that's what my experience has been, and that's the experience that I want for, you know, others like myself, is to allow people in and let people know the person, because that's who they want to know. Once they ask the questions, you know, why, like with kids, they'll ask, what happened to your hands? I tell them what happened. Okay, cool. You got games on your phone? Next.
I love kids, bro. They're the best. I always say, children and elderly people tell the truth. No cap. They gonna let you know. if they like you, they can read you like from top to bottom in 2 seconds. And that's why I love working with the elderly and the kids because they get right to it. It's these adults
Kids
that
are
be the
the
problem.
best.
It
Yeah,
be
it's grown ones. Yeah, it's the grown, but the kids are the best. They do not care. You know,
yeah.
they're gonna ask their questions because they want to know. They're
Hmm.
curious what happened, and once I answer the question, they're like, "Oh, okay,
Hmm.
next,"
They haven't
and
been
that's how
tainted
it
yet.
should be. Yeah, like in my documentary, when you watch it, the Chasing Chassidy documentary, my goddaughter, one of my goddaughters, she's in it, and so we're trying to get her to talk about what's different. So the film, the person behind the camera, she's like, you know, what's different about your godmother? So she's naming all these different things. Like, we always go to the nail shop, or she always say my mama crazy. So she's like, anything else different about your godmother? She's so sweet, and so she's like, I'm talking to her, I'm like, you think it's anything different about G Mama? She looked at me like, what? So I
What?
had to literally put my arms in her face, like she was like, she grabbed them. She was like, "Oh, you don't have no hands." But it was her first thing with being different. Wasn't, "Oh yeah, my godmama don't have hands." Or my
I
godmama,
love that.
she's sweet, she cool. She take me to the nail salon. We have fun together. Like
Yeah.
she sees that, and I think that's the beauty of kids because that's not what she saw. She was like, "I know this person. This is my godmom, and she's awesome to me." Oh
Hmm.
yeah, she don't have hands, but we go to the nail shop, we have fun together, she's sweet, we laugh. And that was just such a beautiful like moment. And it was
Hmm.
such a learning moment, you know, for even adults, like for her to be like, what do you mean? I see this difference, but I don't see that as the difference
Yeah.
between me and her. So that's the beauty. And that's what I would like for, you know, even us as adults to understand, you know, to not see a person difference as far as it beyond the physical.
Yeah. That's beautiful to me because I feel like it's so pure.
Hmm.
And I do wish that people still um acted as if they were children, not in the immature way, but like just the imagination and like the purity of it all because I feel like the world kind of taints people. If you let it, it will, you know?
Hmm.
And I think kids are the best because that's why they're the future and that's why they're able to be molded and become leaders early because they have that freedom to be able to use their imagination and be
Hmm.
real about everything. So I do
I
love that.
agree. I don't think it was. I don't think that. I don't take it lightly. You know, when they were asking who was the greatest among us, and you know, Jesus started talking about children. You know what
Exactly.
I mean? So there, it's definitely like you said, the purity there, and you just you don't have all these different voices. You know what I mean?
Yep.
You don't have an experience like this world and other people's opinions. Like I think you get the most natural part of a human at that stage.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like you said, you can be developed. So I definitely don't take that lightly when we said that those are the greatest among us.
Yeah.
So we definitely, I think, need to kind of step back into, you know, being and just kind of that mindset, like you mentioned. I totally agree.
Yeah. That's why it's important to be with them. So
Hmm.
I wanted to ask you about representation when it comes to that. Like, why is it so important to pour into our youth? And like, what are your thoughts on that?
I mean, like as we mentioned, they're our youth are the future. You know what I mean? That those are going to be our future leaders. Those are going to be people who are going to be future educators. Those are going to be people who are going to be making decisions
Mm-hmm.
for us. You know what I mean? It's
Yep.
really important. Those are the people that shift, you know, that shift the community, they shift society, they shift ideas,
Mm-hmm.
they shift stigmas, you know, when we're pouring proper things into them.
Yeah.
And
Proper.
it makes, yeah, proper things. We're pouring the right things. That's why it's so important, you know, to do that because they really, you know, are the future. So it's
Mm-hmm.
important that we are giving the right things to them and we are representing, right things to them.
Yeah. What core values do you live by?
I live by just honesty
Mm-hmm.
and being myself and really being true to myself, you know, and not being who people want me to be or who people think I am. You know, I feel
Mm-hmm.
at peace when I am who I was, who I'm supposed to be.
Mm-hmm.
and it's important for me to be honest with people, and I love for people to be honest with me. I think that's the basis of building, genuine connections with people when they know you're real with
Mm-hmm.
yourself. And I think that's being really, again, a success with me and experiencing people because they see that, like, this is a real, genuine person. And that's what, something that I truly live by, just always being honest with myself and being my true self.
Yeah.
And that has helped me to, gain really true connections and long-term connections with people because they see like this person is real, and that's important. That's
And
always
consistent. And
consistent.
consistent. Jesus. You can be real for 10 minutes, but if you can be real consistently, it's just different. Like,
It's different.
ooh,
I really stand on. I always say I always want to be a solid person. I want to be a
yes.
solid friend. I want
Mhm.
to be a solid daughter, a sister. I being a solid person is very important to me.
Yes, yes, ma'am. How do you define success and happiness?
Success and happiness. That's a good question. I just with success for me, defining it is, I think they're really connected.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not, if it's not successful to me if it didn't make me happy. You know what I
Mm-hmm.
mean? My success, I have different, I can say I have different accolades with, just the documentaries and, the awards that I've received and degrees that I've received. But my successes for me are those things that were internal and things that personal goals that I set for myself, and building relationships and encouraging people,
Mm-hmm.
and being able to, do the things that I wanted to do, and build encouragement with myself. So those type of things that really make me happy are the things that I would call, successes. And those
Mm-hmm.
are always those intangible things for me, because those are the things that make me the happiest. To know
Yeah.
that you're inspiring people, to know that you're an encouragement, to know that you are giving other people a voice or being a voice for others are successes for me, because I would have never in my wildest dreams imagined, being able to do the things I've had the opportunity and the blessing to do. And sometimes I'm sit back, I'm like, wow, I can't believe I was able to do that, or able to, be that, or hear certain things from people. Just hearing people have come up to me and say, you know what, I seen you and you smiled today, and I just want you to know you made my day. I had a bad day and I saw you smile. Like, I've seen those things. And that's like, wow, those are the most important things to me, because that's what I want, just to make a real impact, on the lives of people.
Yeah. And that's a game changer too. When you hear it, you get to hear the impact that you had. Like, it's just nothing better than that because it's not you. It's God that's coming through you because
Hmm.
you are a vessel. So it's
Hmm.
just crazy to be like, wow, something that you actively work towards doing is like really impacting other people.
It's such a blessing. When after the documentary, I had so many people message me like, I seen your story, and
Hmm.
I was low, or I was sad, I was depressed. I had people who said they were suicidal. And, they were like, just seeing your story really just encouraged me, to keep going. So those type of things are successes for me.
Yeah.
Because,
Yeah.
those type of things generate happiness for me and give me the will to just keep going and moving forward.
Yeah. I definitely agree. Well, my last question for you is if you knew then what you know now, would you change anything?
I wouldn't change a bit. I
Well, I
wouldn't
like to
change.
hear.
I wouldn't change nothing. I wouldn't change that. I'll do it all over again. I probably wouldn't have got on that roller coaster the second time. 'Cause I tried it again. I said, well, maybe I got a little taller between the sixth and the eighth grade. It was a lie I did. So
Mm-mm.
but I wouldn't change it. I wouldn't change a thing. All things work together. And everything that's happened to me happened in purpose. If we did it all over again, it's all going to happen in purpose. So I wouldn't change a thing.
Absolutely. Well, I just want to say that I'm very happy that you are using your voice because a lot of people struggle to find it. And once they find it, they get so terrified about what other people are going to say that they shy away from using it. So
Hmm.
I just really want to give you your flowers and tell you how proud I am of you for real. And I'm being very sincere because I understand how hard it can be to like always try to evoke that emotion, you know? Even when you're having a bad day, you know. But thank you for what you're doing, especially for what you're doing for other people and just living in your truth. And I love that about you. So
Thank
and I
you.
thank you for coming on the show too.
You're welcome. Thank you for having me.